The world lies in ruins. Once thriving cities, the pulse of a vibrant civilization, are now skeletal remains, ravaged by the alien forces that conquered Earth. Towering skyscrapers, once home to millions, now stand like dark sentinels over the smouldering remains of what was once a bustling metropolis. The air is thick with ash, and the ground is scorched, a silent testimony to the violence that has torn through the planet. Massive warships, their dark silhouettes blotting out the sky, float ominously above, casting long shadows over the desolation. Below, the Vexari, cold and merciless, have reduced Earth to a husk, a world once full of promise, now nothing more than a conquered prize in their galaxy-spanning empire. Deep beneath the surface, in the dark, claustrophobic underground bunkers, humanity's survivors huddled together. These are the last remnants of the human race, forced to live in the shadows of their former glory. The air in these shelters is heavy with tension, and every day is a battle to survive. Hope is a scarce commodity, but it's still there, flickering, weakly in the hearts of those who remain. The survivors live in constant fear, knowing that the Vexari could strike at any moment. But among them, there's a flicker of something more. A whisper of rebellion, a yearning for something more than just survival. Lena, a young but brilliant engineer, stands at the heart of this fragile human resistance. Her hands, calloused from years of working with the wreckage of a broken world, have crafted solutions from the scraps left behind by the war. She's a prodigy in a dying world, with a mind that refuses to accept defeat. In her hands, old technology is given new life. Machines thought to be obsolete spring back to life, thanks to her ingenuity. But Lena's skill isn't just in fixing things. She's strategizing, planning for humanity's return to power. But even she knows that hope is a fragile thing. Can we really do this? She wonders to herself as she stares at the scattered blueprints in front of her. The war, the destruction, it's all too much. The Vexari are everywhere, their ships dominating the skies. Yet Lena's belief doesn't waver. She knows what humanity is capable of. She's seen it before. Humanity's resilience, its ability to adapt, to fight back. It's just a matter of finding a way. But doubts begin to gnaw at her, particularly as she struggles with a deeper question. Is humanity worth saving? The destruction, the pain, the loss, it weighs on her every thought. Can they rise from the ashes, or is it too late for redemption? These questions chase her as she works tirelessly to forge a path to freedom. The underground colonies are a patchwork of survivors, divided, fractured, and distrustful. Every faction has its own vision for the future, and each one believes that their way is the only way. In these cramped, dimly lit shelters, basic survival trumps everything. Old alliances have crumbled, replaced by a dangerous new world order where only the strongest survive. Lena navigates this minefield of distrust and betrayal, trying to keep her focus on the mission, but the political infighting among the colonies threatens to tear them apart. Some factions are desperate to rebuild, to restore humanity to its former glory. Others, however, have resorted to darker methods, willing to do anything to ensure their survival, even if it means sacrificing the very humanity they're fighting to preserve. As Lena moves through these fractured factions, trying to gain allies for the coming fight, she's confronted with moral dilemmas that challenge her beliefs. Can she trust these people? Can she trust anyone? In the end, her decision will shape not only the future of the rebellion, but the future of humanity itself. One day, deep beneath the Earth's surface, Lena stumbles upon something that changes everything. It's a hidden vault, buried beneath layers of rubble and time, containing technology unlike anything she's ever seen. It's human, but not entirely. It's a fusion of ancient human engineering and alien influence, a weapon that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. The discovery is nothing short of miraculous. This forgotten technology, buried for centuries, holds the key to humanity's resurgence and potentially their revenge against the Vexari. But as news of the discovery spreads, factions within the underground colonies begin to fight for control of the weapon. The stakes rise, and what was once a symbol of hope begins to spiral into a deadly game of power. Lena realizes that her discovery might just be the spark that ignites the next war, one between the very people she's trying to save. As she struggles to keep control of the situation, she finds herself questioning not just her leadership, but her own moral compass. Can she wield this power without losing everything she's fought for? Meanwhile, the Vexari tighten their grip on Earth. Their warships dominate the sky, their cold, indifferent rule suffocating the planet. Earth, once a thriving hub of culture and progress, is now a pawn in a greater galactic game, its resources plundered without mercy. The Vexari, a race of merciless conquerors, have no interest in the suffering they cause. They see Earth as nothing more than a resource to be drained. Their empire stretches far beyond the stars, and Earth's role in it is small, insignificant. To the Vexari, humanity is nothing but an obstacle to be crushed. But despite this, there's a flicker of resistance. It's small, almost imperceptible, but it's there. Humanity isn't done yet. The survivors, hidden in their underground shelters, know that the Vexari are only the beginning. There are other dangers in the galaxy, and if humanity is to survive, they must rise, not just against the Vexari, but against everything that stands in their way. There is hope, even in the darkest moments, and that hope, fragile as it is, will become the spark that ignites the fire of rebellion. Lena's discovery marks the beginning of humanity's final stand. She knows that the odds are insurmountable, that the Vexari are powerful beyond imagination, but she also knows that humanity has one thing the Vexari can't defeat: resilience. They might not have the same technology or the same resources, but they have something far more dangerous: the will to survive. Lena's plan is reckless, but it's humanity's last shot. She knows it, and the survivors know it too. The final stand begins. The underground bunkers are cleared out, and Lena leads her team into the heart of the Vexari stronghold, armed with nothing but the technology she uncovered and the desperate hope that they might just have a chance. The battle is fierce, and Lena is pushed to her limits. But in the end, humanity's ingenuity, their creativity, their ability to adapt, turns the tide. The Vexari warships are destroyed, and Earth is freed. The cost is high, and many lives are lost, but humanity stands victorious. The war is over, but the fight for humanity's future has only just begun. As Lena surveys the shattered remains of the planet, she knows that rebuilding will take time. The alliances forged in battle must now be maintained. The road to peace will be long and difficult, but humanity has proven that it can rise from the ashes of destruction. The galaxy is theirs to explore, and the future is full of possibilities. Lena's heart pounded in her chest as she stood before the massive, half-buried hull of the warship. The once proud ship, its surface scarred and weathered by centuries of neglect, now lay half submerged in dirt and debris, a forgotten relic of humanity's lost power. The remnants of a world that had been vibrant and full of promise lay all around her: towering buildings reduced to skeletal remains, cracked streets and silent ruins. Yet here it was, a warship untouched by time, its size and scale imposing even in its broken state. If this ship could be brought back online, it could change everything. It could shift the balance of power. It could give humanity a fighting chance. As Lena moved closer, she could feel the pulse of something deep within the warship, a dormant energy flickering to life. The faint hum of ancient systems coming online echoed through the hollowed-out hull. Her fingers trembled as she traced The warship's surface, the metallic texture smooth yet cold. Then the ship's systems began to activate, a glow emanating from deep within. The warship's dormant power was stirring. Lena's heart raced. This was humanity's last chance. The Vexari had taken everything from them, but with this ship, humanity could fight back. But as the warship's ancient systems slowly came to life, a cold realization settled over her. She was not the only one who had noticed. The Vexari, ever watchful, would sense the power surge. They would come. Lena worked furiously, trying to understand the ship's systems, desperate to unlock its potential before the Vexari arrived. The task was overwhelming. The ship's technology was centuries ahead of anything humanity had left. She would need to dig through old archives, piece together long-lost knowledge, and maybe, just maybe, unlock the secrets of this weapon. She thought of the survivors, hiding in the underground bunkers, clinging to the faint hope that they could rise again. But they needed something more. They needed a weapon, and this warship was their only hope. The air was thick with anticipation. As Lena entered the hidden archives beneath the ship, the remnants of forgotten knowledge were scattered in dusty databanks, fragmented and incomplete. She scanned the old records, each file a puzzle piece in a much larger picture, a picture that could reshape humanity's future. The technology, while human in origin, was infused with something else, alien designs, foreign and unsettling, interwoven with human ingenuity. It was a legacy of war, one that had cost humanity dearly, but now it was their only shot at survival. Lena paused, her thoughts clouded by doubt. Should they truly awaken the past? The weapon she was unlocking had been built for war, for destruction. Was it worth it? Could they afford to unleash such power again? The cost of victory might be far greater than any of them could imagine. And yet, what other choice did they have? The Vexari's reign was absolute. Humanity had been reduced to scavengers in the rubble of a once great civilization. She knew she couldn't hesitate. If this ship could bring them back to the stars, to the world they had lost, then it was worth it. The decision weighed heavily on her as she continued to decode the ship's ancient systems. The crew she had assembled, scientists, engineers and soldiers, waited for her to uncover the key to humanity's resurgence. But each moment of progress brought with it the risk of betrayal. The survivors were fractured, divided by distrust, each faction with its own goals, its own vision for the future. Some were willing to do whatever it took to fight back, even if it meant sacrificing their humanity. Others questioned whether they should continue the cycle of violence at all. Lena knew she had to hold them together, to keep the rebellion united. But with the pressure mounting and tensions running high, cracks began to show. Her heart sank as one of her most trusted allies, an engineer named Rowan, approached with a disturbing look in his eyes. "We're running out of time, Lena," Rowan said, his voice low. "The factions are tearing themselves apart. We can't keep playing nice. Some of them want to use the warship's power for more than just survival. They want to rule, and they're willing to take it from you if you don't act first." Lena's breath caught in her throat. Betrayal. It had always been a risk. The warship, the key to humanity's resurgence, was now the center of a deadly game. A game that could either lead to humanity's salvation or its ultimate destruction. As Lena stood in the warship's control room, surrounded by old alien technology, she knew the stakes had never been higher. She had to act. But she also had to trust the right people. The wrong decision could cost them everything. Outside, the Vexari were closing in. Their warships, immense and foreboding, began to darken the skies. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever known, cold, clinical and ruthless. Their massive ships cast shadows over the earth, a constant reminder of humanity's fall from grace. But as Lena watched the first Vexari ships descend, a spark of defiance ignited in her chest. They thought they had won. But they hadn't counted on humanity's ability to fight back, to adapt to survive. Lena's team worked tirelessly to restore the warship's systems. Each minute counted, each passing moment a risk that the Vexari could strike at any time. The tension was palpable as Lena stared at the warship's core, watching the systems come online. She had no illusions. The battle ahead would be fierce, and the price of failure would be catastrophic. "Ready?" Rowan asked, his voice steady but filled with urgency. Lena nodded, her face hardening with resolve. "It's now or never. We fight." The warship's engines roared to life. Humanity's last hope was no longer just a relic. It was a weapon. It was their salvation. But with the Vexari closing in, Lena knew the hardest choice lay ahead. The final stand would decide their fate. Fight now and risk everything, or retreat and preserve what little they had left. As the engines hummed, Lena turned to face her team, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. "This is it. If we don't make it now, humanity's future is over. We fight to the end." The remnants of Earth lay before Lena, ruins as far as the eye could see, the scars of a world ravaged by alien conquest. Once thriving cities now stood as broken monuments to humanity's lost glory. Towering skyscrapers had become skeletal structures, cracked and weathered by time and destruction. The air hung heavy with ash, and the streets, once teeming with life, were silent, abandoned. The Vexari's warships, massive and imposing, hovered ominously above the earth like vultures circling their prey. Humanity's once proud civilization was now a shadow, crushed under the heel of an alien empire. But amidst the desolation, a flicker of resistance burned in the hearts of the survivors, led by Lena, humanity's last hope. She and her ragtag team huddled in the wreckage, gathered around makeshift workstations, each of them armed with nothing but scrap metal, old machinery, and a will to survive. Their objective was simple: reactivate the ancient warship buried beneath the ruins, the last remnant of humanity's technological prowess. But it was a daunting task. The Vexari had deployed jamming technology, making their every move a race against time. Still, Lena wasn't one to back down. The team hacked into the Vexari's communication networks, using their own technology against them. The process was slow, painful, but with every success, they gained more ground. Makeshift weapons were forged from scavenged parts, and sabotage operations disrupted the Vexari's plans. Despite the technological disadvantage, humanity's resourcefulness shone through. Each victory, no matter how small, brought them closer to their goal. Yet they knew it was only a matter of time before the Vexari would notice their efforts and strike back with unrelenting force. Lena stood over the warships. "Control panel," her fingers shaking slightly as she tapped at the interface. It was unlike anything humanity had seen in centuries, a mixture of advanced human design and alien influence, an ancient relic of a past they could barely comprehend. Lena was no stranger to technology, but this was beyond her understanding. She could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. This ship, this weapon, could either save them or destroy them all. With every system she activated, Lena questioned herself. Was she doing the right thing? Should they really risk awakening this technology, a technology built for war? Could humanity control it, or would it end up consuming them just as it had? In the past, the thought gnawed at her, but there was no turning back. The Vexari were closing in, and without this ship, they stood no chance. She pushed the doubts aside and focused on the task at hand, knowing that their survival depended on it. As Lena continued to decipher the ancient systems, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The Vexari were no fools. They had sensed the warship's awakening, and they were coming. The hunt had begun. As the ship's systems powered up, Lena's team realized that they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for humanity's future, for a chance to reclaim what had been lost. But with the Vexari closing in and time running out, Lena knew that their next move would be their most dangerous yet. Every choice she made, every step she took, could tip the scales between victory and annihilation. "Get ready!" Lena's voice was steady but strained as she addressed her team. "This is it. We either make it now or we lose everything." But even as they prepared for the final push, the fractures within the group began to show. The rebels, united by a common cause, had begun to splinter under the weight of their mission. Some, like Lena, were willing to sacrifice everything for the chance at victory. But others, scarred by the horrors of war, were no longer so sure. The idea of continuing the fight, of embracing the same violence that had destroyed their world, was more than some could bear. Tensions ran high as doubts festered within the group. Some began to question Lena's leadership, her determination to use the warship for retribution. The stakes had grown higher, and the line between heroism and desperation was blurring. As Lena walked through the hidden base, she found herself facing her greatest challenge yet, not the Vexari, but her own people. Some members of the team were calling for a retreat, others for a more aggressive assault. Her voice, once commanding and resolute, now faltered. "We can't go back. The Vexari will destroy everything," Lena said, trying to rally her fractured allies. "We either fight for our future or we accept extinction. There is no other choice." But doubt lingered in the air like a thick fog. The tension was palpable. Lena felt it in every look, every word. She could feel the weight of their expectations, the burden of leadership pressing down on her. The mission had begun as a symbol of hope, but now it was a gamble. Would humanity rise again, or would they be doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? The warship's systems hummed in the background, a reminder that the time for decisions had come. The sound of approaching warships filled the air. The Vexari were here. Lena's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the warship's control panel, now fully operational. The ship's energy pulse was detected, loud and unmistakable. The Vexari had arrived. Their enormous warships, dark and imposing, blotted out the sky, casting shadows over the Earth's desolate surface. Automated sentinels patrolled the skies, their cold, calculating eyes searching for any sign of rebellion. The Vexari were relentless, their technology far superior to anything humanity had. They didn't just invade, they eradicated, with precision and unfeeling efficiency. Earth had no chance against them, or did it? Lena knew that the battle ahead would be unlike anything they had ever faced. But she also knew that humanity had one advantage the Vexari could never understand: the power of hope, the drive to survive, the sheer will to push forward against all odds. As the first Vexari ships descended toward the rebel base, Lena made her decision. They would fight, no matter the cost. "Prepare for battle," she said, her voice unwavering. "We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for the future of humanity." With that, Lena and her team rallied, ready to unleash the full might of the warship. It was their last chance. The fate of the human race was now in their hands. The battle for Earth had begun. The warship's engines hummed to life, filling the air with a low, resonant pulse. Lena stood before the control panel, her heart racing as the massive vessel, once a symbol of humanity's might, began to stir. Its sleek, futuristic design contrasted sharply with the crumbling world around it. Earth, a broken wasteland, could scarcely comprehend the power now awakening beneath its surface. The warship's systems flickered, lights flashing, as dormant technology surged back into action. This was humanity's last hope, their only chance at survival. Every circuit, every piece of ancient machinery came to life, promising a path forward, a resurgence, a final stand against the Vexari. The warship was a marvel, a feat of human engineering, now bolstered by alien technology. Its immense power had been lost to time, and yet here it was, restored by the very hands of those who had been driven to the brink of extinction. For a fleeting moment, Lena allowed herself to feel a surge of hope. This was more than just a weapon. It was a reminder of what humanity had once achieved. It was a spark, a glimmer of defiance against the cold, calculating Vexari. Yet in the back of her mind, Lena knew this moment was fleeting. The battle was far from over. "We've only got one shot at this," Lena muttered to herself, her fingers dancing across the control panel, awakening the warship's full potential. She turned to her team, their faces set in grim determination. "Prepare for the final push. We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for our future." Above them, the sky was darkened by the shadows of Vexari warships, each one a terrifying manifestation of their technological supremacy. As Lena and her team readied themselves to strike, she couldn't help but feel the weight of their mission. Their victory would come at a high cost, but the alternative was unthinkable, a world forever under the heel of an alien empire. The first strike came faster than anticipated. Space erupted into chaos as the Vexari fleet launched an assault, their ships swooping in from all directions. The sky above Earth became a battleground, a storm of fire and metal. Lena's forces, though fewer in number, fought with relentless determination, their ships darting between the hulking Vexari warships, each maneuver more daring than the last. Explosions ripped through the air as the rebel fleet clashed with the invaders. Each dogfight was more perilous than the last. Yet, humanity's ingenuity shone through. Against the odds, they gained ground. On Earth, the battle raged on as well. Rebel forces, armed with makeshift weapons, waged a fierce guerrilla war against Vexari ground troops. The ruins of the once great human cities were now their battlegrounds, streets littered with debris, broken buildings offering little cover. Every step forward came at a price, but the rebels fought with a fierce determination that stunned the Vexari. Each successful sabotage mission brought them closer to crippling the alien invaders. But time was against them. Lena's team worked tirelessly to outsmart the Vexari, sabotaging their communications, intercepting their supply lines, and using the terrain to their advantage. The odds were insurmountable, yet humanity's will to survive remained unbroken. "Keep pushing," Lena shouted, her voice barely audible over the din of battle. "We're almost there, for Earth!" But as the warships continued to clash and the ground trembled beneath their feet, a new threat emerged. The Vexari, sensing humanity's resolve, revealed their ultimate weapon, a colossal, imposing warship unlike anything the rebels had ever seen. It was a symbol of the Vexari's unchecked power, and it seemed unstoppable. As the massive ship descended, its weapons trained on Earth's surface, Lena's heart sank. The Vexari had pulled out all the stops. They were desperate to end the rebellion, to extinguish humanity's last hope. For a moment, Lena doubted. The warship's firepower matched anything the rebels could muster. The odds, once already overwhelming, now seemed insurmountable. But Lena's gaze hardened. She had seen the same desperation in her people's eyes. She had felt it herself. This was their moment. Humanity had nothing left to lose. "Make it count," Lena whispered under her breath as she issued the final orders. Her team moved with precision, every action, every choice a gamble. The final push had begun. As Lena and her team rushed forward, a decision she had hoped never to make loomed over her. The warship's full power was at her fingertips. She knew it could destroy the Vexari's command center in one devastating blow, but it would cost her life. If she activated the warship's core, the resulting explosion could obliterate everything in its path, including her. Her mind raced, torn between two impossible choices: sacrifice herself to ensure humanity's survival, or risk everything, hoping that they could still find a way to win without losing her. Her breath caught in her throat as the weight of her decision settled over her. She knew that the lives of everyone depended on her, Lena. Roan's voice was a whisper as he approached, his face shadowed with doubt. "You don't have to do this." Lena turned to him, her eyes fierce with determination. "I do!" The final battle reached its climax as the warship's weapons charged. Lena's heart pounded in her chest. The Vexari were relentless, but humanity's spirit, its will to survive, was stronger. As the warship fired, the massive Vexari vessel erupted in a blaze of fire and energy. The shockwave sent tremors through the earth, but Lena stood firm, knowing that this was it, the moment that would determine humanity's future. The Vexari's warship, once thought invincible, crumbled beneath the force of humanity's ingenuity and resilience. The rebels had won, but the victory came at a tremendous cost. Earth lay in ruins, and many lives had been lost. Yet for the first time in years, the survivors dared to hope. The Vexari had been defeated, their once unyielding empire shattered. But the war had changed them all, leaving scars that would take years, if not decades, to heal. Lena stood amidst the wreckage, her heart heavy with the burden of leadership. As the dust settled, the survivors began the slow process of rebuilding. The warship, once a weapon of destruction, now stood as a beacon of humanity's defiance. It was a symbol of what they had lost and what they had gained. But even as they began to rebuild, Lena knew that their journey was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, new alliances to forge, trust to rebuild, and a galaxy to explore. The weight of her decisions would haunt her forever, but she had done what was necessary. The war was over, but the fight for humanity's future had just begun. As Earth slowly recovered from the devastation, Lena reflected on the road ahead. Peace had been won, but the cost was unimaginable. The survivors, scarred but resilient, would rebuild. And in the distance, beyond the stars, new challenges awaited, challenges that would test humanity's strength and its ability to adapt. But for the first time in a long time, they had a future. Together, Lena whispered to herself, watching the horizon. We'll rise again. Earth, once a scarred and broken world, now stood as a beacon of hope across the galaxy. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Years of oppression under the Vexari had left the planet in ruins, its cities reduced to ashes. But now, from the rubble, Earth had emerged as a leader among galactic civilizations. The war-torn streets had given way to vibrant cities, and the shattered remnants of humanity had come together to forge a future that seemed impossible just a short time ago. This was humanity's triumph, their ability to rise, to rebuild, to inspire. Earth was no longer a symbol of struggle. It was a symbol of what could be achieved when hope refused to die. Lena stood in the heart of Earth's new capital, watching as ambassadors from various species arrived. Humanity had not just survived, they had thrived. The Galactic Coalition, an alliance formed from former enemies, now stood united under Earth's leadership. It was a testament to the resilience of humanity, the ability to bridge divides, to see past grudges and fears for the sake of a brighter future. The war was over, but a new challenge had begun. The stars no longer seemed so far away, and Earth's place among them was no longer in question. In the quiet of her chambers, Lena reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. She had seen the darkest days, witnessed the destruction of everything she held dear, felt the weight of leadership pressing on her chest. But now, as the leader of a united galaxy, she understood that the battle was far from over. Despite the victory, scars remained. The people had paid dearly for this peace. In the calm after the storm, Lena could still hear the ghosts of those who had fallen, the cries of those who would never see this new dawn. Her fingers brushed over the map of the galaxy displayed before her, the stars now within humanity's reach. But she knew that true peace was a fragile thing. The tensions between former enemies still lingered, and the galaxy was far from united in the way she wished. The road ahead would be one of constant vigilance, of careful navigation. It was not enough to simply fight for survival. Humanity had to learn how to live together. The future was filled with possibilities, but also with uncertainty. Each alliance formed came with the weight of history. Each new world discovered had its own dangers. Lena knew that humanity's place in the galaxy would be defined not by their victory over the Vexari, but by their ability to continue forging unity amidst the inevitable challenges. But there was hope. The alliances formed in the heat of battle had proven stronger than anyone had anticipated. The galaxy was now united in a way that had seemed unimaginable before. Former enemies worked together, side by side, exploring the stars, sharing knowledge, and seeking to discover new frontiers. Earth, under humanity's leadership, was at the center of this new age of exploration. The mistakes of the past would not be forgotten, but they would be used as the foundation for a better future. As Lena stood on the balcony overlooking the thriving capital, she saw the city's lights flicker like the stars above. The future was wide open. Earth was no longer a broken world. It was the cornerstone of a new era. The universe was full of possibilities, and humanity was ready to face whatever came next. With each new discovery, each new alliance, humanity's legacy would grow stronger, built on the strength, sacrifice, and ingenuity that had brought them to this moment. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and they would never again be mere survivors. They would thrive. Lena turned her gaze to the horizon, a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. The journey was far from over, but this was just the beginning. A new chapter had begun, one that would be written with the spirit of human resilience and hope. The future awaited, and humanity was ready to meet it head-on.